Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Breaking the Code. One topic, no script. And today we are talking about DC Comics. Can they survive as a publisher without Batman and Superman? So, Jamie, you are our resident DC expert. Why don't you go ahead and take this away?
I'm the only one. Everyone's like Marvel. I'm like, look at my DC collection.
DC's amazing.
DC's better, bro. So topic is, can they survive without Superman and Batman?
Mm-hmm.
If this was 10 years ago, I would say no, let's say 15 years ago.
Okay.
I would say 100% yes. 110% yes.
Okay. 15 years ago was pre-New 52.
Yes. I think that if we're looking at more modern, not a chance. Not
Okay.
even a staple could hold that together.
Why do you feel that way?
So if you look back to even before New 52, let's go for 90s, for example.
Okay.
Everyone had a major storyline. Had their own 100-issue run or 80-issue run. They had longevity behind their character. There was always no matter how bad or good it was, you had that out there. There was
Run those major stories real quick. That was Death of Superman, Nightfall, Aquaman losing his arm, New Dawn, Emerald Twilight.
I like you telling me to run in and you're just like, I got it.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm like, that's less I have to talk about. Awesome. But you look at certain things like that. Even you can go older, you could go, rest in peace, Neil Adams, but you can go Green Lantern, Green Arrow. You can go Flash. You could talk about everybody. And there's always a character that had like a grip. Everyone had their favorite.
Okay.
You always were connected emotionally in some aspect to these characters, whether it was Firestorm, who's very underrated. Blue Devil, for instance, had a 50-issue run. At one point.
Demon had a run too.
Demon had a run. Everybody had some type of storytelling within their own right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at that time, yes, I believe that they could survive without Batman and Superman. Now, they're their flagship, obviously. You can't have the Trinity without, Wonder Woman, Batman.
Right.
Today's world, though, I feel like relies too heavily on those characters. That's their money makers. That's the ones that are always going to be the standouts, the ones out front, the one on your background. It's always when you say, hey, do you read DC or do you know anyone from DC? People are automatically going to go Superman or Batman.
Those are the two that people are always going to say first.
You're not going to hear anyone go, oh, Booster Gold. So, and even Booster had his own run at one point. So that's why
he sure did. Absolutely. In the early 2000s, I believe.
And you look at that aspect, and each character, like I said, each character you could find something to relate with.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the market between Superman versus Batman Dawn of Justice, let's just pull that out of the air for a minute.
Okay.
That franchising on that, even though people have their say about the movie itself, that pulled people in. Henry Cavill as Superman, and then Batfleck.
Yeah, absolutely.
You had everyone being like, are you Batman or are you Superman?
And the cinematic debut of Wonder Woman.
Exactly. But mine is Wonder Woman because we're two-person centric right now.
Right.
But the point is, now you got 12 books with Batman. Even Bat Family. Now you've got 6 or at least 6 books right now with Superman, and Superman's son, Jonathan, who's been over time a predominant character because of the sexuality aspect. You have so much more. So my answer is overall, if they went back to the format that they used to have, I think they can survive without them. It'd be great. They did it for a long time with 52 weeks. If you remember correctly, they stripped all those characters away. For a whole year, we did not have Batman or Superman. We had Booster Gold as Supernova, and then we had Dick Grayson as Batman.
What Jamie's talking about is the series 52 that DC did. And if you guys haven't checked it out, wonderful. World without the Trinity.
And you can, if you need a little bit more of a breakdown, there's a couple of different things called 52. You have a countdown to 52. That's not what I'm talking about.
No.
Even though that's a great storyline without
Just
them.
52.
Yeah, it'll say week 1, week 2, week 3 on the top, and it went weekly for that year.
Yeah.
They've shown they can do it without them.
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
They've proven that point they can do it without them. I think that was a challenge for DC themselves. How do we navigate this marketing scheme to bring up different characters? We got Batwoman out of 52 weeks.
Yeah. A new question out of 52.
Yes. And when you look at statistics now, the number one recognized character, I don't know what they look like as of today, obviously, but 2 years ago, if you were to ask someone, just name a superhero, it was like 85% of people said Batman.
Yes, I can see that.
Without a hesitant to their voice, like Batman. And you could say Spider-Man or whatever, but this kind of, it goes on the same beat too, though. If you look at the flip side of the coin, you look at a Marvel, for instance, you take away Spider-Man and you take away Captain America.
The company can still function, though, because they have so many other top tier characters.
Right. But at the end of the day, if you still took away those characters, you still have enough to play with.
Exactly.
And DC has that to play with. They've tried to utilize it. They've shown they can utilize it, but they just choose not to, because that dollar is going to come in when you see Batman on the front. Yeah. That dollar is going to come in when you see Superman and the big S on the back. Can they survive? So my answer is yes, they can.
Okay.
But they'd have to have the same format as they've had previously in the past. It can't be, oh, well, guess what? And at one point this year, it was 12 Batman issues or Batman adjacent. So Bat Family issues. And it is the same thing, like I said, with Superman. It was 6 issues of Superman, different titles, but it was still Superman.
Right.
You strip that down to 1 or 2, and you can still survive.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead and chime in on this. So I'm going to take it back to the 90s where you were at, and I'm going to kind of expand on that a little bit. So at that time, that was a time when I was as heavy into DC as I was into Marvel, and Image was on the cusp of coming out at that time. So during that time period of comics, you had the Death of Superman run. That was the major thing for Superman. You had Nightfall, Night Quest, and Night's End for Batman. And then the other characters had their own things. However, when that was taking place, like you said before, you still had a slew of other characters to choose from, and not just the top two. Like what titles did Superman have then? He had Action Comics, Adventures, Superman, and the Man of Steel. Those were his 4.
Yeah, those were the 4 at the time.
He had one a week coming out, and Batman had Batman, Detective, Shadow, Legends of the Dark Knight, and I believe that was it.
There was, what was the one? It was Legends of the Dark Knight, and then there was one just said, it was like Legend of the Bat or something like that.
Shadow of the Bat?
Yeah, Shadow of the Bat. That's what it was.
So yeah, Batman, Detective, Shadow of the Bat, and Legends of the Dark Knight. He had 4.
Right.
I think that's a perfect ratio for even a top tier character. And that's not even counting the team books that they were in, Outsiders or Justice League or anything of that nature, or even Titans. So yeah, that didn't oversaturate the market at that time with those particular characters. And you still had characters like the Ray or the Demon or Blue Devil or the Titans as a team, the Outsiders, Metamorpho, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, the list goes on, Martian Manhunter even. So you had a slew of characters to choose from, and the ratio of new characters coming out to mix in with all of those was not overtly huge, right?
Yes.
So at that time, I think that where you said, what did you say? You said that they could survive by pulling them out at that time?
I said they could, they could definitely survive with pulling them out at that time. I think they could do the same thing now. It's just that dollar talks.
Right. Now I'm going to agree with you on that. I think at that time, if they were to have pulled both of those completely from publication, they had enough of a foundation with other top tier characters and then mid and low tier characters to definitely push through and create great stories. And they did that with Wonder Woman after Superman died. She took over leadership of the Justice League, and that book continued onward till its end for another 50 issues,
Right.
I believe. So it wasn't like they were just tossing somebody in there. They put a top tier character in that was very popular, and the stories continued to be told very well, and it ran until I think 129 issues. Now fast forward to Infinite Crisis and beyond. I think at that time it was still possible to pull
Okay.
Batman and Superman out, especially after Infinite Crisis, and again with what already happened with 52,
Okay.
where they pulled the Trinity out. At that time also, the foundation of other characters that they had to hold DC up as a whole was very solid. Wonder Woman, Hawkman, Hawkgirl, the list goes on, and the creation of new characters, the ratio of that to established characters was not super high, and it flowed in very well. Batwoman, New Question, etc., etc. Now, if you go post New 52, I agree with you 110% that if they pulled Batman and Superman out right now, I think if they pulled Superman, they'd be fine. But if they pulled Batman, they'd tank. And again, it goes to the dollar signs. It goes to, what do they see? They see those characters as huge money makers, not only in paper, but on television and in video games and in movies and anything else they could possibly slap their faces on. If Superman and Batman were pulled now, I don't think DC would survive. I don't think Wonder Woman could do it on her own. And I don't think even establishing Green Lantern and Aquaman as a new Trinity with her could do anything to bring in the type of popularity that Superman or Batman already do. Now, with that being said, more of a personal note, I think that there's a major oversaturation with bat titles and super titles. And I think that seriously...
I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah.
On some aspects. I don't agree with when it comes to Bat Family titles. I don't agree with that one. The only reason I say
I'm talking Bat specific, like Batman specific.
So, okay.
Right? Yeah,
okay.
I think
when people say usually Bat specific, they're usually including the family.
No,
and
Bat
I always want
Family
to
is
just
its own thing.
Shake them until they stop.
Nightwing is an established character. Batwoman is established. Harley Quinn is established. Those Batwing, Batman Beyond, those are all established characters. They fall under the umbrella of Batman, but they're not Bat specific titles as far as I'm concerned. Because like with Batman specific titles, there's a ton of them. And the same thing with Superman too. And if you scaled that back down to 4 a month, like the way it was before, Detective, self-titled, and then 2 others to do whatever you want to. That's a Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday right there in a week for a superhero. Do that, scale it back down. And I think not only will that take a lot of pressure off of those big 2, but it will open up a lot more breathing room for other characters to come in and fill that vacuum. You know what I mean? Okay. Now, so that's my opinion on
one thing I want to say, and I'm going to kind of go off tangent here just a tad bit, like we normally do with the Nova show.
Yeah.
You said something earlier, and when I brought up the whole Marvel aspect of it. Now, I want you to think about this for a second.
Okay.
When I said if you took Captain America and you took Spider-Man away, it kind of trying to be the equivalent of the Superman and Batman on the DC side. You said they had more predominant characters.
No,
to still play off of.
So, I said they had more established characters to play off of if those 2 were pulled away.
Okay. Now, if we look back at the time frame that we gave at the time of, let's just say, the 80s, 90s. Okay.
For Marvel?
For Marvel.
Gotcha. Okay.
Remember one thing, too. We had Ron Marzon. So if you guys didn't get a chance to, go check out that one shot with him. It's on our YouTube page. All you got to do is type in the Codex Station. It's under our one shots playlist. He did bring up a valid point.
Okay.
if you look back then,
I think I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
predominant characters that you're talking about were only established thanks to the MCU.
Very true. Iron
So
Man
if
was
Iron Man had a panel,
Mhm,
Black Panther had a panel,
mhm,
where Thor had multiple pages, where
mhm.
Captain America had multiple pages, where Spider-Man at that time had multiple pages because technically
Yeah.
he was an Avenger, quote unquote, because he never wanted to be an Avenger, but he was. But you look at that predominant character. In my eyes, the predominant characters are the ones that we had with DC, because there was no one panel for them. There was books about them. There was long series about them. Not, hey, let's try an arc to see if this works.
To pause you on there for just a second to clarify what I said before, when you were talking about pulling Captain America and Spider-Man, my frame of thought was today.
Oh, okay.
But going back in the 90s, I think that DC had the better established tier of characters.
Yeah, because that's what we were talking about, and that's why I brought that up at that time.
Because I mean, in Marvel, you had the big teams, but like singular established characters, they were in a big flux with doing a lot of changes.
No, and like I said, I understand. I was just saying for that time era,
right?
If it'd be a different situation if you took out Spidey and Cap.
Well, I mean, think about it though. Like the big two have always traded off with where they're telling the greater stories, right? I think in the 90s, DC had some of the better in-depth stories than Marvel did. Tone, I think, said it best. Where there's a difference between fast food comics and meat and potato comics. And I think at that time, DC with the tier of characters that they had, they were telling more meat and potato stories, and Marvel was telling more fast food at that time.
But like we were saying, get back on topic here. Do I think they could survive without them? I do agree that they would survive. Now, how long and how they do it all depends on their history, and if they look back at the past and see what they accomplished at that time, and not have an 8-issue series of Blue and Gold. Blue
and Gold's good though. I'll defend that title.
No, I'm agreeing with you, but I'm saying make that a 50-issue run instead of an 8.
Make it an ongoing. Dude, let Jurgens write and do artwork for that. Amazing.
Yeah, but you look at that aspect. If you let that run, you're gold, literally.
Yeah.
No pun intended. Actually, there is, but you know what I mean. But you let that run, you're going to be golden at that point.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go ahead and shore this up a little bit and take it right down to the last little bit. So hypothetically, Batman and Superman are pulled.
Yes.
Who do you think could fill the vacuum? What characters today do you think could fill the vacuum if Batman and Superman were pulled?
Batman and Superman were both pulled right now.
Yep. So we're talking
at this moment.
Yeah, the topic of conversation we're having now has actually happened. Batman and Superman are pulled from publication. How does DC survive?
Nightwing.
Okay. Like, do you establish him as? Do you?
No, you keep him as Nightwing.
Okay.
You tell the story of why Batman's gone. His are trying to come back. He doesn't want to be Batman again. He wants to be his own personality.
Gotcha.
And if I had to pick someone for Superman,
who do you think could fill the vacuum of the two?
Martian Manhunter.
Okay.
The only thing you gotta do is not light a match around the guy, and he's fine.
That's very true. For me, I think I would go back to what I said earlier. Push Green Lantern and Aquaman. Push them into the top two. They're already gaining super popularity.
But if you're talking about right now, on DC side, if you're talking right now, Green Lantern's not established anymore because you don't know who's the true Green Lantern.
Well, that's very true. In my eyes, I think it should be Hal Jordan, or if they didn't want to do Hal, put Kyle in there and push Kyle.
And they're not doing anything with him.
Exactly. But Aquaman and Green Lantern, whoever it may be, but use them with Wonder Woman as the centerpiece, and that would be your new Trinity.
And build around them.
Exactly. And use those three as the foundation, and then all the other characters underneath equally support, not these three with 50 titles apiece and then everybody else gets miniseries. No, these guys up to 4 for their monthlies, and then the guys down below build their fan base and hold the foundation.
Exactly. And
That's how
that's
I
the
feel
thing.
about
Like, I feel like they can survive.
it.
It's not going to be something that, you know, it's not impossible to survive without it.
Right.
Let's just put it that way. We've proven it.
Yeah.
It's
Time
just
and
the
again.
fact. It's just the fact of now, if you look at DC and they do something like that again with Death of Justice League that
Yep.
just came out like what last week, right there. I didn't get my other variant copy. I was upset, so I'm gonna wait till I go back again.
Which copy did you get?
The statue. See.
Perfect. Okay.
But as I was saying before I cut myself off,
Sorry,
and lost my train of thought. No, if you look at history and see what they've done in the past, they can accomplish that again in the future. There's no doubt. They had a whole line called Future State, which people tend to forget about, that just happened about a year ago, where all of them were going to disappear because of the fact that they don't know what was going to happen in the timeline. Now we have the Death of Justice League. Oh, how are they ever going to survive?
Right. Exactly. Well, okay, Jamie, I think it's safe to say that you and I are pretty much on the same page as far as whether DC could survive or not without its top two characters, Batman and Superman. And I think the general consensus is yes, but if done correctly after they leave.
And it's not even just saying, like I said, done correctly. It's if they take that template that they've had and established it again the same way.
Yeah.
You know, not you could change some moving parts, but you know, it's gonna be at that extent.
Right. All right, guys. Well, before we end this episode of Breaking the Code, Jamie, is there anything that you want to say to our wonderful fans that are watching right now?
Yeah, as always, guys, be kind to one another. You never know what anyone's going through out there, and even making someone smile could change the whole perspective of their day. So always be kind. Yeah, guys, as always, we always got more and more content coming from you. Go check out my Moon Knight review. I'm pretty proud of it. I laughed at myself, which is easily do. I gotta look at this in the mirror. But with everything else, guys, you know, definitely give us a look. Definitely follow us here if you guys haven't yet. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.
Right on. And don't forget, guys, you can find us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, right here on Twitch, over on YouTube if you're watching there now, on TikTok, and on our shiny Discord. All you got to do is type in the Codex Station, and that is where you will find us. And we are also on all podcast streaming platforms. Once again, just type in the Codex Station, and there we are. Once again, guys, my name is Tim. This wonderful guy over here is Jamie. This is Breaking the Code. We are the Codex Station, and we will see you next time.